Welcome to QI, where we're having a veritable chimp's tea party with jam, jelly and juice. And joining me for my midnight feast, we have the jam-smothered Joe Brand, the jelly-slathered Lisa Tarbuck, the juice-bedribbled Sue Perkins, and don't do that on the floor, please, Alan Davis. Well, it's a midnight feast, and just in case anyone sees Matron coming, I've equipped my pals with buzzers. Joe goes... Lisa goes... Sue goes... and Alan goes... It's my party time! Oh. And what... So, begins with J and appears to be alive.
Is it me?
You begin with J and are most magnificently, radiantly alive.
He's on the turn.
Lisa.
James Blunt.
Closer, I grant you. Yeah.
Jeremy Clarkson.
Oh! You know what? This is something that appears to be alive and quite obviously isn't.
Jedward, then. I'm revising my...
So much work
Take care
to
do.
Yes, but in order to find out whether the brain is working, there's a machine that is used by doctors, an electroencephalograph, and you can tell whether a brain is alive by attaching it. And there is something that quite manifestly isn't alive, but if you attach that same machine to it, will give off the same signals as a brain.
Is it jelly?
Yes.
Fucking hell. I can't quite believe how intelligent I am sometimes.
No, no,
How did I get that?
it was wonderful.
You're a genius. Is it any type of jelly, or is it...
Well, sort of large jelly in a mould on which you could fit the electrodes of an EEG.
Oh, that kind of jelly, right.
From its EEG results alone, it would not qualify as sufficiently dead to have its life support removed. That's the point. I know that seems insane. The reason it seems...
All the other jellies sitting around the bedside weeping.
Yes. He's still alive, he's still alive. You can't turn it off.
Comforting one another.
Yeah, yeah.
One outside having a pack.
One wobble for yes, two wobbles for no. Neurologist Adrian Upton examined the electroencephalography of gelatin desserts, as he put it, to make a serious point about brain death. Because what happens is the jelly picks up extraneous electrical signals in the room from sources like respirators, IV drips, even ringing telephones. The implication is that a brain apparently generating similar signals may in fact be quite dead. On the other hand, it may well be quite alive. It isn't enough to use an EEG to tell whether someone's alive, that's the point.
So jelly is always wobbling just a little bit.
It's always going to be wobbling a little bit. But it is rather extraordinary, isn't it? An amazing thought. At least I think it is.
Lovely thought.
It doesn't mean that EEGs are useless. They just have to be considered with other things to suggest whether or not someone is conscious or alive.
Is that an excitable jelly just there that's suddenly flatlined?
It's flatlined, yes, indeed. Anyway, that's probably enough jelly for the moment. Maybe more, you never know. Jelly is made from boiled-up pig skin. Name as many uses for a pig as you can.
Bacon.
Bacon is one.
Truffle snuffling.
Medicine stuff? Medicine cases for tablets and...
Oh, for women in pregnancy, doesn't it bring on for inducing pregnancy?
It does if
pig's
one
hormones.
runs through your front room.
You do it like that.
Absolutely staggering what you can get out of a pig.
Yoghurt.
Yes, I have a list. Christian Mindersma wrote a book called Pig 05049, which is an anonymous pig, and beyond the obvious foodstuffs, she found different parts of this animal offered the following pork derivatives. From the skin alone, safety gloves, cosmetic surgery, collagen, comes from pig skin. Energy bars, which also have collagen in. Low-fat butter, chewing gum, X-ray film, drug capsules, bread, flour improver made from pig hair, would you believe? Flour, I know. The skin is also used for tattoo practice. And ballistic gelatin. That's just the skin, and then there's the internal organs, pet food, tambourine skins are made from a pig's bladder. Your old tambourine.
I knew those folkies were evil.
Yeah.
There are many thousands of people who are alive because of a pig's valve from their heart. From the bones, cheap wine corks, would you believe? Stabilising propellant and bullet making, inkjet paper, concrete, match heads, bone china, train brakes, yoghurt, which you correctly mentioned.
What's
to
a
get points
train
for.
brake? Like
It's
where you go
stopping
to
a train.
Scotland for the
Yeah,
weekend?
for stopping it.
Just the legs, a piece of bacon and a trotter out. He just leans forward.
Fabric softener. Who knew? Beer, wine, ice cream. From the fat, biodiesel, soap, shampoos, crayons. From the blood, cigarette filters, amazingly. Toothpaste. And also paintbrushes. Chemical weapons testing. The ears are used in chemical weapons testing. Don't ask me why. I should hasten to add that not all toothpaste and not all yoghurt contain it. But if you are Muslim or Jewish, you've got a hell of a problem discovering what's got pig in it.
Have your work cut out.
You have your work cut out like a silhouettist.
What
Your work
is
cut out.
Arabica gum, then?
Gum Arabic.
Gum Arabic.
Isn't that a tree?
It's a resin from a tree.
Thank God, it's the only thing that's not piggy.
Yeah, just basically is. From the acacia tree, in fact. I think.
Oh, OK.
Yeah. According to Bloomberg, there are 42 major areas of manufacturing that entirely rely on pork products. It's quite astonishing what that one animal can do. And it's the only farmyard animal, if you discount truffle hunting, that is only useful when dead. There's no
Oh, you
use.
say that. You've never gambled with a pig.
Oh, I
Come
know.
on. They're terrible gamblers. Poker, blackjack.
But obviously ducks and geese and hens lay eggs and goats give milk and cows give milk and sheep
Companionship?
give companionship.
Love,
I know they
warm.
do offer those. It is
My
true.
brother's got a pig, and that's very true of that one.
Yeah, they are very endearing animals. Of
Tell us
course,
to be careful, though, because I knew a farmer that had a heart attack while he was feeding his pigs, and they ate him.
oh, yes, well, I'm afraid.
Don't want to get into a pen with one that's approaching sexual maturity, as I know to my cost.
Really?
Yeah. It's basically like
How are the piglets?
They've got names, Alan. So, yeah, it's
Porky and
like...
Perkins.
Pinky and Perkins.
Yeah, it's scary. It's like a pork piano, because they breed pigs very long now, because everyone likes chops.
That's right.
So you get incredibly long
With a
pigs.
huge row of udders you
Yes.
can see on the sow, can't you?
And, yeah, just runs at you in a sort of matey way.
This was obviously the bull,
Yes.
the male.
She wasn't interested.
No, she
Although I
wasn't.
was trying to catch her eye.
They're not little. Anyway, there you are. From jelly to jam. What's speech jam?
Ooh. Is speech jam that sort of white crust that John McCririck gets? When I actually made myself feel sick.
We can test out speech jam.
Is it like a symptom of a psychiatric
No, it's not
condition?
exactly that. It's a problem that occurs to our ability to, speak.
You can jam.
Like that. It stops you from being able to speak properly. It's when you hear... That is a very good example of what might cause speech. If you hear your own voice back while you speak, not in real time, but only a fifth of a second afterwards, it's almost impossible to read out. And we're going to do a test. If you don't mind, Alan, you could be our guinea pig, all right? Okay. You should see some earphones.
Is that why
there.
these are here?
Those are the earphones. Now, some Japanese people built a handheld device with a directional mic and speaker, which works as a speech jamming gun. We've made our own one up, but I'm going to give you something to read, and as it's about jams, this is Mrs. Beaton's Everyday Cookery, the classic work, and it's her chapter on marmalade and jams. All you have to do is start to read in a normal voice, and then, at some point, we will engage. All we'll do is have your own voice repeated back at you a fifth of a second afterwards. All right. So, start reading in a normal, clear voice about marmalade and jams, OK?
Marmalades and jams differ little from each other. They are preserves of half-liquid consistency
I'm
made
gonna
by
squeeze
boiling
the
the pulp
trigger
of fruits
now.
and sometimes part of the rinds with sugar. The term marmalade is applied to those confitures which are composed of the firmer fruits, as pineapples or the rinds of oranges, whereas jams are made of the more juicy berries, such as strawberries, raspberries, grapes, almonds, etc. Jams require the same care and attention in the boiling as marmalade. The slightest degree of burning in many cases is disagreeable into the mouth and taste. And if they're not boiled properly, they will not heat.
Stop! You can stop that, well done. Do you think Alan's a genius and it doesn't work on him? Should we try it on Joe, then? I have to say, did you hear your voice back?
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, really? All right, we'll try it with you, Joe. I'm going to just start with it on, frankly, and just read.
Having secured the most important conduct,
Thank God it works for you.
I've got schizophrenia now.
It really is amazing. Honestly, I'm absolutely staggered, because I tried it this afternoon and I found it impossible. I kept trying to hurry up and speak faster to somehow try and beat it.
I think it's because I hate cookery.
Whoa, hello. Something over.
What's that resting on, Steve?
Whoa! So if you just start to read normally and then I'll engage. So read... Phew.
The fruits most fit for preservation in syrup are apricots, peaches, nectarines, apples, greengages, plums of all kinds and pears. As an example, take some apricots, not too ripe, make a small slit up its bottom and sew a hole on the end of a butt plug. They should be stored in airtight tins and given to really mean people.
You made that up.
I didn't, it's all there. Mrs. Beaton. Dirty old thing.
I'm just confused. Well, do you want to swap places? You have a go?
Yeah, I want to.
You swap places, you have a go.
I want to read what happens to Mrs.
But if you
Beaton in
could,
the butt plug.
honestly, it's very amusing to read about the butt plug, but...
OK, with you now.
You got it? Marmalade?
Yep.
OK, go.
Marmalades and jams differ little from each other.
100%.
They are preserves of half-liquid consistency made by boiling the pulp of fruits and sometimes part of the rinds with sugar. The term marmalade is applied to those confitures which are composed of... or pineapple. I sound drunk now. Those jams are made of more juicy berries, such as strawberries, raspberries, currants, mulberries, etc. Oh, my head. Where's everyone gone?
Sorry.
It's
Very interesting experiment. Quite extraordinary, Alan. You didn't seem to stop in your stride at all. It did affect you quite noticeably.
Yeah, it did, but does that mean he's really intelligent?
I don't know.
'Cause I think it
to...
might be the other way round.
It is very unusual. What it oddly and counterintuitively also used for is to help cure people with stammers, oddly enough.
Oh.
But you were having your voice back delayed, didn't you?
I think because if you work as an actor,
Yeah.
you do have to remember to say things when really odd things are happening around
Maybe
you.
that is partly it, yeah.
I think that's right, actually. That's why I could do it, because of radio.
Well, that could be it. Yes.
It makes you feel sick, actually.
Yeah,
It is,
it
it's
does,
a
it
horrible
knocks you a
feeling.
bit.
Yeah, it does knock you.
And there used to be an act called verbal shadowing, in which people would basically shadow what someone said, which children, as you can do while I'm doing it now. Everything I say, you're repeating it just a second after I'm saying it. You can do that as well, can't you? While I'm speaking, you can follow what I'm saying and predict exactly what it is
you're going to say.
Yeah,
Give out
exactly.
It's really, really like the Lord's Prayer at primary school.
Anyway, it's quite interesting, and I was very impressed, and I thought you'd be all over the shop, and you were the clearest of us all.
Well.
Now, OK, so, from jam to juice. I've got jumbo wrists, and I'm covered in tit juice. What have I been up to?
You've changed.
Is it a night out with Tarbuck and Perkins?
Jumbo wrists and covered in tit juice.
Sound like a milkmaid.
Do you mean tit juice as in bosoms or as in a bird?
Nor indeed neither. It's an occupational hazard. Fishing. It is a fisherman's occupational hazard. There is a boat, the fishing boat.
There's
yes.
Lara, covered in tit juice.
Yeah. Well, you get jumbo
Slathered.
wrist simply from repetitive strain injury from gutting fish. But tit juice conjunctivitis, to give its proper name, is the acute swelling of the eyes caused by the juice of tits, which is sometimes called duffs, but tits is the most common name for them, which are described in the Ship Captain's Medical Guide as marine growths that look like suet dumplings with finger-like growths protruding from them. When they get caught in fishing nets, they explode, releasing millions of tiny silicon needles which go into the fisherman's eyes.
God.
So that's what causes the swelling.
Is this sort of stuff just generally in sort of lakes and rivers and oceans then we
Well,
haven't seen it?
if you work every day amongst fish, there's all kinds of stuff on there aside from the fish you're trying to catch. For example, there's a thing called Dogger Bank itch.
I'm guilty as charged. You too?
You've got Dogger Bank.
All I said was...
Yeah.
You can also get haddock rash.
Why are you looking at me?
That's an inflammation between the fingers from gutting
I
white
do
fish.
often take a fish to bed with me, and then I can say to my husband, "Not tonight, dear, I've got a haddock."
I've suddenly got that, that's very good.
That sounds like, actually, when you've just given birth as well, because all those fittings, you do have swollen
Oh,
bits
yes. A lot of people, a lot of women, when they give birth, can't take their wedding ring off ever again, can they?
No, and they're pissed off about it.
So tit juice conjunctivitis, jumbo wrist and Dogger Bank itch are occupational hazards of fishermen. What was unique about Fanny Farmer's cup size?
Is that Fanny Farmer in the Grant Woods? Is it Grant?
Well, that is the Grant Woods famous picture, American
Farmer's
Gothic.
cup
That
size.
isn't Fanny Farmer, it's just... in fact, that woman doesn't appear to have a cup size at all. It's called American Gothic, it's a very famous painting, it's not really the point of our question. They're farmers, that's the point. But Fanny Farmer was actually...
Sounds
was
like
her
a
name.
Viz character.
Her name, it does, doesn't it? It does.
My great-grandmother was called Fanny Binks.
Fanny Binks.
Fanny Binks.
Fanny
Mum's
Binks.
Fanny Carfoot.
Fanny Carfoot.
Yeah, Fanny Carfoot and Fanny Tarbuck. Two Fannies.
Pair of Fanny.
A pair of Fannies.
Is it because Fanny's cup size, one boob is bigger than the other?
No, it's not that, and it's nothing to do with fanny farming being an occupation.
Fanny farming?
It's another
We need to
website.
start a campaign now. We need to have a march. We need to
Fanny
organise.
farming next door to a
Stop
mink farm.
Fanny
It's a
farming.
nightmare.
This was a person whose name was Fanny Farmer. And she
Was
could
it
be...
cup size as in bra, or as
No.
in size
Measurements.
of cup that she
size of
drank
cup
from?
that she... Not drank from,
Measuring
no.
cup?
Cooking.
Measuring cup. She's the mother of the measuring cup.
get out.
Before Fanny Farmer, cookery books were really hopeless. They'd just say, add a jug of milk, and then nobody knew how much a jug was. They'd do, add a bit of this and a bit of that, or half a bit of that and half a bit of this. As you probably know, if you've ever used an American cookbook...
Bish bosh.
Exactly. As you probably know...
Here's Percy Pepper.
In Europe, we use weights, which is really dull and stupid. Everything's going to be weighed. In America, they're much more sensible. They use quantity, so it's cups. So you literally get... It doesn't matter, because as long as the proportion's right. So half a cup of rice, pour in half a cup of rice, 2 cups of water, 2 cups of water. It doesn't matter how big the cup is. The proportion is what matters.
Yeah.
And she devised a system whereby 1 jug is 16 cups and exactly how much a teaspoon is. And the one thing he insisted on, so that it could all be made easy, is it's all level. So a cup of sugar is a level cup of sugar like that, not heaped. So that you can't go wrong. She made the first kind of error-free cookbooks that everyone could follow.
They're awful, those early cookbooks. I've looked at some.
Oh, the ones
the form
before
of
her.
curry and curry or whatever it is, which is the Richard
Eliza
Seconds
Acton
one.
and people like that, yes.
It's take a goodly pinch of this and a...
Yeah,
and a
that's precisely what annoyed her, the goodly pinch.
Goodly pinch.
a goodly pinch.
It's a lovely phrase, but it is not very helpful.
It's a lovely experience.
It is.
Isn't it great, though, that she's just got fed up?
Yeah.
And she's just
And
devised...
Mrs. Beeton, whose book you read out of She died only 4 years after her book came out. How
Oh,
old
she was 29.
Yeah, she was very young.
28, in fact.
28.
Even. So she wrote it when she was 24. Huge success, the most successful book of its time. Her husband went on to be very successful.
24, you imagine her to be matronly and
Yeah.
hugely
Yes, I know,
experienced.
because of the missus somehow. Now, her husband, he had a magazine called Beaton's Christmas Annual. In 1887, it published a story. I wonder if you can name it.
Is it a Dickens
1887 wasn't Dickens, no. It was the very first story featuring a man called Sherlock Holmes. Oh! Study in Scarlet. And that was after, sadly, Mrs. Beaton had died.
What did Mrs. Beaton die of? Was it...
There's a suggestion, a rumour that it was syphilis, but that sounds most unfortunate, and we don't like to think of such a thing. Of such
Historical
a
death, if in doubt.
If in doubt, Isabella Beaton. Anyway, describe Marie Antoinette's breast cups.
Oh, yes. I know the answer to this, because I've seen one. Not her bosoms, but they modelled various plates and cups and things on boobs.
Yes.
I hate the word breasts.
I do too.
Let's just say jugs.
Bosoms.
Tits.
I like titties.
Norks. 2 years. You heard it here first.
No, I mean, as a word, titties.
I like
It's official.
Yeah.
In the morning.
all day long.
A lovely bunch
But
of
they're becoming
titties.
rather old-fashioned. Titties. I like titties.
There was one had a little nipple as well.
They
so
were, you're absolutely right.
oh.
It was during that phase she had, which was started by Madame de Pompadour, which was of pretending to be a peasant. She lived in the most sophisticated, glittering palace in the world, in Versailles, but she liked to pretend to be a milkmaid. She had gold churns hanging off and things like that. This was considered to be incredibly...
A massive cow.
That's... Yes,
What's the size of it?
or a very small little girl. I did one or the other. Anyway, the great porcelain works of Sèvres in France made for her, at the command of King Louis XVI, these extraordinary cups, which were like breasts. There you can see the nipple, out of which she would drink milk. That's the kind you're talking about.
Yes,
you've seen.
exactly, yeah.
They're on display in Petit Trianon, which was her little sort of farmyard, her play farmyard. And you can buy replicas if you wish to have one in your own house. I'm sure...
I do.
I want two.
Then you know where to go.
I want the pair.
You want yes, you should have a pair,
Yeah,
to be
you should
honest.
have a pair.
A matching pair, ideally.
No one wants to drink out of a lone boob.
There is a bra makers who say that they can tell what size you are just by looking at you, which I think is quite impressive. So I had to go along and find out, and they usher you into a room and get you to take everything off. And this woman looked at me and went, not quite as bad as I'd expected.
What a nerve!
I have the same thing. You know, you go down and you have to gird yourself up for these things. You're showing your titties off. And this woman's just come in with 3 people that she's training, gone like that with the curtain, looked at me and went, can't help you. Shut up!
Shocking!
Yeah, it really was shocking.
I'll make you a bra, but I can't help it.
We don't get this problem from our underpanters, do we?
Certainly do not.
Mr. Klein will hand over his pants to you without any opprobrious comments. How extraordinary. Things you girls go through. It's been...
There are those titties again.
It's like that awful joke of the man who goes to the doctor and says, I'm obsessed with breasts, I can't do anything about it, I'm just obsessed with them. The doctor says, well, I'll do a word association test to see how bad this is. He says, newspapers. He goes, breast. He said, why? He said, well, I take the Sun, page 3, it's just breast. Oh, yes, OK. Fair enough. Tennis rackets. Oh, breast. I said, why? He said, Wimbledon, all those tennis players, breast. You see them moving, they're playing all the time. Oh, God, OK. Windscreen wipers. Breast. What? How can you say that from windscreen wipers?